Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we're going to be discussing a 1941 version of Dr. Jeckyll and Mr. Hyde, starring Spencer Tracy, Ingrid Bergman, and Lana Turner. Now, previously, I have discussed the original talking version of Dr. Jeckyll and Mr. Hyde, which came out in 1932, starring Frederick March. Now, in this version, I am not going to, for this review of the 1941 version with Spencer Tracy, I am not going to elaborate on the storyline because I did all that in the previous review. The reason for that is, of course, in the Spencer Tracy version, which came out like 9 years later, after the Frederick March 1932 version, they didn't really do anything new with the story. Of course, it's the same story about a doctor, Dr. Jeckyll, who was played by Spencer Tracy, created a film where he could divide the good and evil sides of the human nature. And of course, he created this alternate character, really with like a split personality. He transforms into a split personality, which he calls himself Mr. Hyde. And he does a bunch of evil things. Sets up an apartment for a waitress that he had the hots for, who was played by in this version by Ingrid Bergman, and who he eventually beats up constantly. And he eventually, of course, rapes her in the film, and of course, eventually kills her in the film as well. Not only rapes her in one particular scene, but he also kills her later on in the film. And he also, of course, nearly kills his fiancée in the film as well, who was played by Lana Turner. So, I don't know why this remake was made. I mean, there was more remakes with Dr. Jeckyll and Mr. Hyde, I think with Dr. Jeckyll and Mr. Hyde, than any of the other old monster films from the 30s and the 40s. Well, at least, you could say, well, what about Dracula and Frankenstein? Well, at least that has a particular series. It was not remade to maybe in the 90s, or maybe in the 50s and 60s by Hammer. But at least they made their own different interpretation of it and didn't copy the movie just about almost scene for scene. And that's what they did with this version. Now, I'm not knocking the actors. I like Spencer Tracy. I like Ingrid Bergman as actors. But it's almost exactly the same thing as the original movie. That was my problem with it. I just watched the 1941 version just last night, and I was bored to tears because they didn't add anything new to the story. I mean, it's exactly the same thing, and it's kind of like it's one of those like unnecessary remakes. If you ever do a review of some of the other fellow YouTube critics out there, does a review of unnecessary remakes, the 1941 Dr. Jeckyll and Mr. Hyde is the quintessential unnecessary remake. Because I'm not saying it's not a god-awful version, but if you see the 1932 version first and then you see this one, you probably have the same reaction as I had, and that was being bored to death, and because it's exactly the same thing. The only difference is the actors in the films. That's the only difference between the two films. Other than that, it's exactly the same thing, same plot, same dialogue almost. Between the films. The only difference between the 1941 version is they cut out a lot of the sexuality in the film. There's one particular scene where Dr. Jeckyll helps out Ivy, after she was attacked by another guy, to her apartment, and she reveals a lot of leg, takes the golden belt off, and you see, hey, look what you got here, folks. Trying to seduce Jeckyll. They play the sexuality up a little bit more in the 1932 version than this one. And even though it was exactly the same scene, you do see Ingrid Bergman's legs a little bit, but you do see her take off the garter belt. That Ingrid Bergman takes off the garter belt. Now, I don't know if they had, like, say, body doubles then as you do today. If someone who doesn't want to show a lot of leg or show a lot of skin on the body and stuff. Like Julia Roberts, for example, a Pretty Woman, where she had like a body double because she did not do nude scenes. So anytime you don't exactly see Julia Roberts' face, that's a body double. In Pretty Woman, the way the film was edited. I know they did the same thing with Ingrid Bergman at that time, 1941, but to see her legs, to see her play off, be dressed provocatively in that scene. You really don't know if they use a body double for her. But anyway, I'm getting off track. But this movie is exactly the same thing as the original version. So, I mean, Spencer Tracy does not really. I mean, it looked like to me he wasn't really into playing the character like what Frederick March did 9 years earlier. And the funny thing is that in 1960, the two actors who played Dr. Jeckyll and Mr. Hyde starred together in the movie Inherit the Wind, which is kind of ironic. The two actors who played the first two talking versions of Dr. Jeckyll and Mr. Hyde starred together in a courtroom drama. Was 20 years later, in 1960. So it's kind of ironic. It's kind of funny. It's funny to me in that way. But like I said earlier, I know I'm dragging this video out. I know it's no more than 6.5 minutes, but it's really not much for me to tell about this particular version, because this version didn't really do anything for me. Like I said, I'm not knocking Spencer Tracy, Ingrid Bergman, and the actor in this film, but if you're copying the movie almost scene for scene and line for line, it's like when they did the remake of Psycho, starring Anne Heche and Vince Vaughn. Not only did they copy the movie scene for scene, but also line for line. And that's what I felt like I got from this movie. The same feeling as the 1998 remake of Psycho. The same feeling I had for this film. So that's my review of the movie, of the 1941 version of Dr. Jeckyll and Mr. Hyde. Please click on the video, please rate it, feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video to your Facebook pages. So I forgot, you can't make comments on my videos anymore. Thanks to that drunken idiot in my co-op. Thanks to him, he ruined it for everybody. So just click on the video, rate it, feel free, please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video to your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews and all on my YouTube channel at rowdyc.com. It's all WDY.C.com. There's a homepage, there's the website for Christine Moore, the Rowdy Reviewer. And please watch all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.